Hey, everybody, this is Coach Kenny again. Today is February the 27th, and I wanted to talk to you about something completely different than the Motivational Minute. A lot of discussion with me personally in some things, and I wanted to just kind of get something off my chest that has been with me for a long time. And in my effort to find some enlightenment for myself, discovering things about myself that I never even gave a whole lot of stock to, but have come to some greater understanding based on my own shining my light inward. And so with that came some discussion with some people that I hold very dearly, and I think it would be worthwhile to share that with you and to help you maybe gain some understanding of where I'm coming from and some of the things that I believe um, that I hope will help some people put to rest some of the things that they have believed through their lives, and you know, that I think contribute to some of the division um, that's going on in our country right now. I will forewarn you, it is not a political discussion. It has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. It has nothing to do with uh, liberal or conservative or any of that. It's just me talking. And so, with that, here goes. I want to talk to you about something that has recently been bantered about in the black community, and it's called B.T.S.D. Everybody knows what PTSD. It's post traumatic stress disorder, but there is a growing school of thought that BTSD exists for people of color, specifically black people in America. BTSD is obviously what it sounds like. It's black traumatic stress disorder. And it's something that I have come to realize is probably a real thing. And it's with us from the day that we come out of the womb. All right. And uh, to my friends that are not black, I hope that you stay with me and listen and hear me out, because this is not coming from a place of anger or fear. It's just telling you something that you probably will never be able to experience or understand. If you're not black, it would be really hard for you to gain this perspective unless somebody that you know and trust their opinions shared with you. And so that's why I'm doing it, because I have plenty of friends that are not people of color that I believe trust me and believe know me, and know that I'm not saying this from a hurtful place. But BTSD, Black Traumatic Stress Disorder. I first became aware of this notion some time ago. As you know, I was in the military for about 10 years total. Um, Went to a lot of foreign countries, had a chance to serve during some of the conflicts that you know about, and been all over the world. And the later that I got, the longer that I stayed in the Army, the harder that it became for me. And here's why. It's not that I don't love my country, because I obviously do. I think that we live in the greatest country on earth, and I am not one of those people that is not willing to stand up for the flag and to fight and die for it if called be. Uh, what gave me pause was that as long as I had that uniform on, I was looked at in a different way than somebody else who looks like me would be. And that gave me, it started to wear on me about year 6. And the longer that I went, the more troublesome it became for me. And I say, I'll tell you why. Why should it be that I am respected as a soldier any more than another black man is respected walking the streets? Now, yes, there's a level of thanks that I think we should all be afforded once we serve our country. But that aside, when I'm walking down the street in my uniform, not in performance of my duties in the military, um, people would look at me a different way. They wouldn't jump off the sidewalk as I'm approaching them. They would extend their hand and shake my hand and say, "Thank you for your service." They would do all those things. But when I didn't have that uniform on, those other things that I just mentioned happen a lot, and they still happen to this day. I was in an elevator just the other day, and the elevator was full of people. And I was in the back of the elevator, and one of the women that was on the elevator, I noticed that she was clutching her purse a little tighter. She was standing next to me, clutching her purse a little tighter. And every time someone would get on or get off the elevator, she was doing her best to create some distance and space for me. Now, I agree that at times my beard can get a little scruffy and I look a little different, but I'm certainly no more of a threat to that woman or any other woman, for that matter, getting on and off of an elevator trying to get where I'm trying to go. So it started to wear on me, and I just realized that, what kind of stress that created in my life, that I am wearing a uniform and fighting for a country that I love that doesn't always love me back. And that was ultimately what helped me come to the decision to get out of the military. Not because I loved my country any less, but I felt like, and those of you that have ever worn the uniform will understand this, having a thought like that limits your ability to do your job in the military. Why our military works the way that it does is because the guy next to me is putting his life in my hands and mine is in his. And as long as I entertain thoughts about anything other than that, it can cause a mission not to succeed. It can cause somebody not to be able to come home. And I knew that, so I knew that I had to get out. And so I did. And I felt like I could probably help this situation a little bit more on this side of things rather than being in the military. But Black traumatic stress disorder, it happens every day. It happened from birth for me, all right? For those of you that don't know, I grew up, kind of transcoastal. My family is from Georgia. I grew up in Kansas and Georgia and Missouri and all points in between. My father was also a 32-year Army guy. My father was in the Army pre-integration. So if anybody should have reason to have a chip on their shoulder or feel a certain way about this thing, talk about fighting for a country that didn't love you back. My dad was in the Army for 32 years of that. And I have a ridiculous amount of respect for my father for being able to navigate his way through that and be a first in so many ways and things that he was able to accomplish while he was in the military and after he got out. What I wanted to do, though, was dispel some of the misconceptions that somebody who's not Black may have about me and help you understand that why I have Black traumatic stress disorder. It's to dispel the notion that I want more than ... America's the greatest country on earth with more wealth and abundance and opportunity than anywhere else. And Black men and women have fought to help build it just as everyone else. And so it's as much ours as it is anyone else's. All right? You can't separate the contributions of Black Americans from the contributions of everyone else. We had as much a hand in building this thing as anyone else. And so the notion that we should go back to Africa or go back to wherever is nonsense. It's foolishness, okay? I'm from here. I was born here. I wore the uniform, and I fought for this country, so it's as much mine as it is anybody's. And I resent people who have this notion that I should go back somewhere when this is my home, and it will always be my home, all right? But what we were fighting for was this idea of America, all right? The life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, all right? It doesn't mean that I want what is yours. I only want what is meant for me, and not the portion that somebody else might say is meant for me. To know your place, I'm not interested in that. I want to be able to pursue and to seek my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness in the way that I choose under the law. Nothing else. I don't want more than my fair share. I just want my fair share. It's as simple as that. I don't want what I want at the expense of anyone else. I only want what I want when I am able to apply the work and the persistence and the effort to achieve it in the way that I see fit. I don't want to have to settle for less because of the color of my skin. I don't want to have to be told that, well, even though you put in the equal work and abundant work and effort to attain this thing, that this is only what you can achieve. I don't want my success or my failures to have limitations based on the color of my skin. I know that for some, this might be troublesome. This might be hard for you to grasp or to wrap your head around. You might think that I'm coming from an angry place or, making demands that I have no business making. All right. And I'll tell you that just because you don't understand why I feel this way, just because you may not understand that there is a problem, doesn't mean that there is no problem. It doesn't mean that my feelings aren't legitimate and the feelings of people who look like me aren't legitimate. It just means that you have yet to come to the understanding of what this problem is, and that's okay. Now, there are those of us who might say, it's not my problem. It's not my problem that maybe John Q. Public doesn't understand why I feel this way. And I shouldn't have to take the time to educate them or to help them see why things are the way that they are, and that becomes problematic for people like me. I get it, and they're probably right. It is not my fault that some of you grew up with less than the understanding to treat people of color as people and as human beings and nothing less. But it is my responsibility to extend the olive branch and to help you understand that what we want, what I want, is no more offensive than what anybody else in this great country wants. All right, a roof over your head, food on the table, some money in your pocket, the ability to care for your children, pay for a doctor if you get sick, and so on and so forth, to have some of the nice things that life can afford you, and I'm willing to work for it just like you are. That doesn't make me any different from my Mexican brothers and sisters, or my Asian brothers and sisters, or my white brothers and sisters, and my black brothers and sisters. I'm no different than anybody else. We all want the same thing. All right? I just want you to understand that the system as it exists today isn't set up that way. There are still people that will resist this urge that we can all live and exist together without tethering expectations or fettering the way that we're all able to pursue happiness. Okay? There should be no limitation to anyone if you're willing to put in the work. And I've talked about work and pass fail of life in my motivational minutes. Understand, I'm not saying that you should just give me. All right? I'm not necessarily a fan of reparations because I don't want you to give me anything. I want to work for everything that I get, because stuff that you work for is obviously you value it more. It's so much more fulfilling when you put in some hard work. In the old days when we were farming, to put in a day's work on the farm and to leave it all out there in the field, come home completely exhausted, up before dawn and in after dark, completely exhausted. And at the end of the season, you see the fruits of your labor, of the seeds that you sown and you cultivated and you watered and you cared for. And over time, it grows into a crop, and you take that crop to market and you sell it and you reap that reward. That's life to me. That's life to so many of us. And it shouldn't be tempered or limited by anyone who is willing to stand their ground. If you got the goods and you put in the work, you should have no limit on what you can achieve. And that's all that I'm asking for. And this armor that I speak of, I've been armed from birth and told that the world is this way and that you should protect yourself. And I thank my father and my ancestors, my grandfathers and grandmothers and mother, for opening my eyes to the way that the world can be. And I put this armor on every day of my life, that armor of being a black man in America, because of the way that the world is. All right? To not do so would be foolish. But I'm always willing to disarm myself and talk from a place of love and respect to those who believe, like I believe, that this world is meant for us to be together in it. We're all linked together. We're in it together. You know that funny saying, we may have gotten here on different boats, but we're all in the same one now, and we're all in it together. Well, here we are. I didn't come over on the Mayflower, nor did my ancestors. But we're all in the same boat now. I could get coronavirus just like you. Bad joke, maybe too soon, but okay. You know, I'm always willing to take this armor off when somebody is willing to sit down at the table with me and talk about what are real problems, okay? Now, just because you don't see what I'm talking about, you may not see it. You may have never seen it in your life. You may have grown up, or you may live in a place where there are no people of color. Not your fault. But when a tree falls in the woods and you don't see it fall, does that mean that the tree never fell? Absolutely not. So just because you may not see a problem or may not be aware, or doesn't make your sphere of influence, that doesn't mean that it's not a problem. And so what I'm saying to you is, don't ignore me on this. Don't think that I am just here to get a bunch of likes and comments on what I'm saying to you. All right? What I'm talking about, I have lived it for 51 years of my life. It is a problem. Right? And there are people who love me, white, black, and otherwise. But there are people who don't love me, white, black, and otherwise. And that's the problem. That's the problem. So understand that as we go forward, you know, I am more than willing to discuss anything and anything in regards to race. Ask me a question. You want to ask me on Facebook, do that. You want to ask me in Messenger, do that. You want to call me, you can get my number, just ask me for it, and I will discuss with you anything that you want to discuss. All right? But understand that what I'm asking for is, it comes with the knowledge, and you should be aware too, that what I'm asking for, I'm not asking you for necessarily, because it's not yours to give. My unalienable rights, as given by the Constitution, are not yours to give me or to perpetuate. More so, those rights and those freedoms and my pursuit of happiness are there, and they are mine, and I am willing to claim them. But maybe, just maybe, you've been part of a system that's been limiting my ability to do so. All right? So what I'm asking you for isn't yours to give, and I'm cool with that. But I don't want you to get in the way of me getting what I want. Because again, what I want is not at your expense. I believe there's enough for everybody. And I don't want what's yours or what you pursue or what you perceive to be your happiness or your joy. I only want what I am able to pursue and what I am able to attain and achieve with my own two hands and with my own mind and my own intellect. And I don't want that to be limited by you or anyone else. I'm always willing to take off the armor. I'm always willing to set Black traumatic stress disorder aside, because it is a thing. But know this, that I was born here in America as a Black man. My ancestors ordained me as a divine warrior, That's what my name means in Swahili. That's what Kenneth means in Swahili, a virtuous warrior. I was trained by the greatest military in this world, United States Army. I got some specialty training. I can do things that a whole lot of people in this world can't do. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do anything to achieve what I want to achieve and to get the pursuit of happiness in the manner that I want to get it under the law at any cost. That doesn't mean that I'm coming to kill you. That doesn't mean that I have got some secret agenda to overthrow the government. I don't. It's just a caution. It is what it is. I'm able to fight. I'm willing to fight for what's mine. I'm willing to speak up and to stand up and to admonish those who need it, who are limiting not just mine, but people that look like me and people that look like you, quite frankly, that are in the way of progress. I'm willing to do that. I'm also willing to stand in peace and to fight for peace. And I think that the two are linked. But make no mistake, you can only kick a dog in the corner for so long before the dog bites you back. I don't want to be that dog that bites you back. Just hear me out, meet me at the table, and be willing to discuss the things that we talked about today from a place of love, because I do love you. I do respect you. I do honor you as a human being. More than that, I honor you as an American. But you have got to understand that the time for us to just give half measures and a lot of back talk about what this problem is and the problems that go on in this country and ignoring this is not going to make it any better. It's not going to go away. I hope that you understand that this is something that I deal with every day. The armor that I speak of, I can put that on and take that off, but I can't put on and take off the color of my skin. And I don't ever, ever want to be limited, whether you see it or not, from anything in this country because of the color of my skin. I am black and I'm proud, and I have no doubt that others who see me may think one way or another with me, and it doesn't matter. A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of sheep. Sometimes that's how I feel. But make no mistake, what I hope to accomplish from this is just for some of you to just hear me and be willing to meet me at the table and talk about these issues before something really, really stupid and bad happens, okay? Nobody wants that. That's good for nobody. We don't need to go back and refight the Civil War. We don't. And do I think that that's right around the corner? Probably not. But I don't even want things to go that direction. There's no sense in it and there's no need for it. I hope that maybe somebody out there relates to something that I said today and that you will engage with each other. If you're not going to talk to me about it, talk to somebody about it, all right? Put aside some of the preconceived notions that you have. You don't have to fear us because you think that we're trying to take something that's yours. You don't have to fear us because we're out to get you. We're not. You don't have to fear us at all. We want the same things that you want. That don't make us out to be criminal or animals or savages because you don't understand where we come from. We live with you. We're all connected and we're all together in this, and don't ever forget it. So God bless all of you. God bless America. Thanks.